What's up, everybody? It's Vaughn, Dalzell, and Eric Froton, and we are betting big. It is week 12 of the college football season. It is flying by, and we're having fun doing it, Eric, because we have been rooting for the villains all season long. That's the Michigan Wolverines. And Jim Harbaugh said he wants to be America's team. Eric, put on the mask. That defense is dirty, holding everybody to 15 or fewer points this season. I absolutely love what I've seen out of Michigan. I think they win it all. So, Maryland, senior day, homecoming, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Team total under 15.5 for me, Eric. What do you like here? And tell me the Wolverines win this game.
Well, yeah, everybody wants to see, Jim Harbaugh embrace his inner WWE heel, of course, certainly. Yes. But when it comes to this game, Maryland snapped a 4-game losing streak last weekend with a narrow 13-10 victory over Illinois. Week before that, though, got destroyed by Penn State 51-15, and they lost to Northwestern and Illinois the 2 weeks prior to that. No team besides Penn State has been able to stay within 19 points of Michigan. This opened up at 19, went up to 21.5 in some spots, back down to the 19.5 spot. I am going to take the Wolverines to cover.
Yeah, everyone's thinking there's going to be a letdown with Ohio State on deck after this, but I don't think so, Eric. Michigan's going to handle business, and Ohio State should too. But one team we just saw in person was Penn State versus Michigan. We were in Happy Valley, and that defense for Penn State looked almost as dominant as Michigan's defense, which leads me to think on their senior day, when they're representing, they got another sellout crowd. Rutgers is not going to score more than one touchdown, my friend. I played the under 10.5 team total here. I love everything I've seen out of James Franklin's team outside of last week. And fun fact, Penn State is 26-1 all time against Rutgers.
Yeah, well, Penn State just fired their offensive coordinator, Mike Yurcich. As we were there last week, James Franklin getting booed going into the tunnel after the game. I'm worried about the letdown spot here with Penn State losing to Ohio State, losing to Michigan, their 2 big games. They just fired the OC, and they were challenged by Indiana, just a 9-point win over the Hoosiers 3 weeks ago. I don't know. With Ohio State, can they beat Rutgers by 21? I'm watching this during the week. If it gets to that 21.5, I'm going to play Rutgers and take the Scarlet Knights.
Wow. Well, kudos to you. I'm not going to do that. I think Penn State dominates. And, that's a fair point you make, though, about a letdown spot. But I think they want to be in the best bowl game possible. And James Franklin wants to keep his job. So let's talk about another game, Eric. Let's talk about Purdue at Northwestern, because these two teams to me are very interesting all year. Northwestern, 1 win away. They're at 5-5 from being bowl eligible here. And they got this as their final home game against Purdue, but they're underdogs. Home dogs was +2, moving down to +1.5. I think the Wildcats are live to win this game, so I'm going to take them here with the +1.5.
Yeah, with me, look at Purdue. They've either scored or allowed 31 points in 8 of their 10 games this year, with their games against Iowa, obviously, and Virginia Tech being the lone exceptions. On the other side, Northwestern has a tendency to mirror the style of their opponents. Rock fights against Nebraska and Iowa, that's what those teams do. But then Maryland and Minnesota, a couple of shootouts, and they just got straight out blown out by Duke and Penn State. I'm leaning the over 46.5 points here.
I like that look a lot, because that was the other angle I was looking at too. I don't really trust Purdue's defense here that much. Purdue actually hasn't won back-to-back games all season. So them being a road favorite here, I don't like that, especially with the Wildcats having motivation. So we're along the same lines, Eric. Hopefully we'll be on different sides, though, Michigan State at Indiana, because this one to me, Indiana is one of my most hated programs. They get me every time I bet on them. But you know what? I think there'll be points in here. So I like the over 47 between Michigan State and Indiana. Indiana's offense amid the best stretch of the season, Eric, 20-plus points in 3 straight, season high 45. And Michigan State did put up some points on road games at Iowa and Rutgers, scored a combined 40. So I'm going over 47 here.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that. That being said, Indiana has played pretty well the past 3 weeks. You got to give it to them. They started out horribly this season. They gave Penn State all they could handle, 33-24. Beat Wisconsin 20-14, and just lost in overtime, 48-45, an absolute shootout over there to Illinois. Whereas on the other side, Michigan State, a deeply unsettled quarterback situation, has lost 7 of their last 8. With the only one that's came within 10 points was Rutgers in a 27-24, pretty close game. Give me Indiana laying the 4 points. I do not trust the Spartans.
Yeah, can't trust Sparty whatsoever. So I don't hate that pick, but you can have the Indiana Hoosiers. I like the under in Iowa versus Illinois. Now, Iowa lost last year 9-6 against Illinois, but this is not the same type of team. Iowa's coming off a shutout victory against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights 22-0. And when you just look at both these offenses, obviously we don't like Deacon Hill on third downs or any downs, but Luke Altmaier's also been a guy that struggled. Him on the road in Iowa, not something I'm rocking with. So give me the under 30.5.
Yeah, Iowa has infamously cashed 4 straight unders with the lowest point total since 2000 being one of those games. It doesn't matter. Can't stop, won't stop. While Illinois has comfortably cleared 45 points game totals in each of the last 4 games, winning 3 of them against Maryland, Minnesota, and Indiana, despite potentially backup quarterback John Paddock taking snaps under center. Despite the late surge, I am sticking with Iowa in Ames with a Big Ten championship berth on the horizon. I'm laying the 3 points and taking the Hawkeyes and holding my nose.
I think unless you're Penn State, Ohio State, or Michigan, you should be taking Iowa as the home team there. Those are about the only teams that are winning on the road in Iowa. So I'm with you there. Speaking of Ohio State, 27.5-point favorites against Minnesota. There's another letdown opportunity here for people. They think Ohio State could be sleeping on the Golden Gophers with Michigan on deck, but I think the Minnesota team total under 10.5 is the best play. This would have been an official play on our show Saturday if the line wasn't around minus 140 odds, but I think the Gophers are going to struggle here, especially on third downs. And Ohio State's been getting the sacks up all throughout the season, so I like the Buckeyes defense in this spot.
Yeah, I get it, but Minnesota allowed 52 to Michigan, 27 to Illinois, 49 to Purdue last weekend. 49! Purdue isn't getting to that rarefied air in very many circumstances, whereas they've scored at least 10 points in every single game that season. That includes 10 against Michigan. That's right at your 10.5 line there.
Yep.
I don't think Ohio State's going to have any trouble scoring at least 38 points against Minnesota. And with them likely to hit around that 10, I'm actually liking the over 48.5 points in this game.
Well, good luck with that, because last week Ohio State scored 5 touchdowns all in the first half, and that was it for them in the second half, cashing our over 4.5 team touchdowns, which was nice. Thank you, Buckeye Nation. And for the final game and betting big here, Nebraska at Wisconsin. Badgers are home favorites. Eric, I think this is a toss-up because Wisconsin's lost 3 straight, 4 of the last 5. They're at 5-5. So is Nebraska after they lost 2 straight after 3 consecutive wins. And now I don't know how to approach this game. So it's Big Ten football. I'm going under 37.5. It's probably the best bet here. I think both offenses could struggle. What do you got for me?
Yeah, I mean, how can you argue with that sort of logic? Wisconsin sputtering. I mean, what a disastrous first season under Luke Fickell, having lost 4 of their last 5, including their last 2 against Northwestern and Indiana, 2 teams that, if you told me before the season they were going to drop both those games, I would have told you you're crazy. The only win they've had is a 25-21 nail-biter at Illinois, whereas Nebraska had a 3-game Big Ten win streak, just snapped, unfortunately, by Michigan State on the road last week, where Nebraska quarterback Heinrich Harburg went down with an ankle injury, had to go between Jeff Sims, Chubba Purdy. Who knows what will happen in that situation? The quarterback position has been brutal all year, with both of these teams having major offensive struggles. I'm going to go with the under as well. We're both on it.
Nice. 2 backup quarterbacks, and Wisconsin hasn't scored more than 14 points in 3 straight. Love to see it if you're an under better like we are, baby. Join us, NBC Sports YouTube channel at 11 a.m. on YouTube. Eric and I will be there. Eric's going to Clemson versus North Carolina this weekend, so make sure you follow him too. It'll be a good time there. So see you on Saturday.